What's going on, guys? My name is Omega. Welcome back to another Apex video. Today we have some huge stuff to go over, including the brand new patch notes that just dropped. Towards the end of the video, we're also going to be going over the Apex Legends engineer blog that announced some pretty big improvements coming to the servers very soon. Today's video is sponsored by Insights.gg. If you're looking to improve your skill set in Apex Legends Season 9, whether that be in the Battle Royale or in Arenas mode, studying your gameplay is a must. Insights.gg has officially launched version 1.0, integrating their all-in-one VOD review platform with their high-performance game recorder called Insights Capture. Insights Capture allows you to take notes and automatically highlights game events, making it easy for you to review your gameplay after every match. It fully supports 13 major game titles like Apex Legends and is free to download. Now, as someone who's always looking to get better in Apex, I honestly believe that reviewing your gameplay is one of the best ways to learn from your mistakes and improve as a player. The 3v3 Arenas mode is going to be a much different experience compared to the Battle Royale version, and Insights GG will give you the tools to take your gameplay to the next level. Check it out today. Remember, it is free. Alright guys, we're going to jump right into these patch notes. There's a couple things here that I've already mentioned on this channel, so I wanted to start with some things that I haven't really gone into much detail with. First off, we have the starter kit and loot changes. So apparently, players will now start a match with a starter kit consisting of a level 1 Evo shield, helmet, and knockdown shield, plus 2 shield cells and syringes each. They've removed level 1 helmets and knockdown shields from the loot pool, and the spawn chances for level 1 Evo shields has been significantly reduced. And right here you can see the dev note where they said, we're removing level 1 helmets and knockdown shields from the ground loot because these seemed like the least exciting, least meaningful equipment pickups we had. Their power is practically invisible, so they don't really feel like a character improvement in the way that things like, say, a backpack feels. We're keeping level 1 Evo shields in the loot pool in addition to adding them to your starter kit because having them sprinkled around is still important for shield swapping shenanigans. Now, as you guys know, I also mentioned that ground emotes are apparently coming in Season 9. We actually have a full video of a bunch of different ground emotes that I'm pretty sure are going to be available for free at launch. We do know that every single legend is going to get one free emote. Whether all of these are going to be the free emotes, I'm not 100% sure, but I imagine at least half of them are. So it says introducing emotes, every legend will have one emote unlocked at launch, and additional emotes can be obtained through Apex packs or by crafting them. Equip your emotes to the emote wheel and flex away. They also said, now since emotes kick your camera back to a third-person view, we know some folks are already thinking about corner peeking. Competitive integrity is still paramount, so enemies that your character couldn't see in first-person view will not be shown while you're in third person. And as you guys can see in this video, when anti-peek is enabled, which it should always be, you can't actually see enemies behind corners. So that's one big thing that I know a lot of people were concerned with, but it doesn't look like this is going to give you any competitive advantage in Apex. Now, what I'm sure you guys have all been waiting for, we're going to talk about the legend updates for Season 9. So starting with Lifeline, her combat revive, which is her passive, no longer deploys a shield. She can now revive 2 players at the same time and can now cancel active revives in progress to allow your teammate to defend themselves with their knockdown shield. They also talked about the buff to her heal drone, so apparently this change actually did go through. It says heal rate increased from 5 HP per second to 8 HP per second, and obviously her care package getting a big buff. Cooldown reduced from 6 minutes to 5 minutes, now guarantees an upgrade in 3 categories: body shield, other equipment, which contains helmet, backpack, and knockdown shield, as well as weapon attachments based on your team's current gear when the package arrives. We also have a change for Octane here. First off, starting with his stim. So his stim is going to have a reduced cooldown between stims from 4 seconds to 1 second and have an increased health cost from 12 HP to 20 HP. He's also going to get increased bullet spread while in the air and shooting from the low launch pad trajectory. So I'm guessing that's when you actually slide onto the jump pad. He's going to have a harder time aiming while in the air. Next up, we have the changes coming to Loba. So it says Burglar's best friend can now run and slide at full speed while aiming the bracelet and while the bracelet is in the air. Loba will no longer be slowed after translocating. Then obviously they fixed a lot of different bugs that prevented Loba from being able to teleport in various locations. And obviously her Black Market Boutique is going to have an increased cooldown from 90 seconds to a minute and a half. Horizon is also getting some pretty big changes in Season 9. First off, starting with her gravity lift, she's going to have a reduced lift speed by 30% and also reduced side-to-side acceleration. They also limited the time you can sit at the top of gravity lift to 2 seconds and increased the cooldown from 15 seconds to 20 seconds. And now Horizon's abilities will get zapped by Watson's pylons. Fuse is getting a very small buff to his knuckle clusters, where it says Fuse now has 2 stacks of knuckle cluster, and they reduced the cooldown from 25 seconds to 20 seconds. Bangalore got a change where her smoke has been thickened. The dev note says, last patch we optimized Bangalore smoke particles and inadvertently thinned them out. This aims to get her back to the original visuals while keeping the optimizations. And a very interesting change coming to Bloodhound, where Bloodhound no longer receives assists from their ultimate. And the last legend change that we have here is actually for Crypto, which is kind of surprising to me. So it says Crypto's drone can now scan and open care packages and can no longer use his drone to hijack a respawn beacon that's already in use. Now we also have a brand new weapon category called the Marksman Category. This category is going to contain the bow, the 30-30, the triple take, as well as the G7 Scout. Now keep in mind, this is just a new name to categorize these weapons, but they're also going to be increasing the movement speed while aiming down sights for marksman weapons. They were at sniper speeds and will now be between sniper and AR speeds. Additionally, we have done some targeted normalization of hipfire spread amounts. One of the bigger changes that I know many of you guys are probably excited about is the fact that the Peacekeeper is going to the ground loot and the triple take is going to be put in the care package. So the dev notes here say, since we are exchanging a shotgun with a marksman weapon, now was a good time to rebalance the drop rates of crate weapons. The Kraber will spawn less often in the early game and more often in the mid to late game to better accommodate its power. The triple take will be the most common early game crate weapon, with a Prowler being the most prominent late game crate weapon. And in terms of the fully kitted gold weapons that we're going to be getting, it looks like the Bow, Wingman, Hemlock, R99, and the Sentinel are going to be the golden weapons for Season 9. Alright, now we're getting into the nitty gritty of the patch notes, going over the exact weapon changes that we're going to be getting in the next season. So starting off as a change for all assault rifles, they're going to be reducing the headshot multiplier for all assault rifles from 2.0 to 1.75. In the dev note, they said this was already the case for the Hemlock, so the affected guns are the R301, Flatline, as well as the Havoc. We also have the Peacekeeper, which we know is coming to ground loot. It's going to come with a precision choke already equipped, which can also be toggled off. The pellet damage has been reduced from 10 to 9. The rechamber time was increased, as well as the reload time. The pellet spread was also increased in general, and the Peacekeeper will now quickly lose charge after leaving ADS. Now for the triple take, which like I mentioned before is going to be a crate weapon, it will come with a 9 ammo clip and 63 reserve ammo. The fire rate has been increased from 1.2 to 1.3. The time to fully charge has been reduced from 1.1 seconds to just 1 second. And like I mentioned before, the movement speed while aiming down sights has been increased to match other marksman weapons, and they also increased the spread while airborne and aiming down sights. The Havoc got a slight buff where they increased the recoil controllability early in the pattern, so this will basically make it easier to aim with the Havoc when you're first starting your shots. The Spitfire is getting the exact opposite change, where it says reduced recoil controllability early in the pattern. The dev note says the Spitfire is too strong at the moment, boasting good damage output with low recoil. Making it a bit harder to control early in the pattern should give more times for opponents to fight against it. That said, we're prepared to make more changes to the Spitfire if it remains too powerful. The 30-30 had a very slight buff where they increased the leg damage multiplier from 0.75 to 0.85, and also the movement speed while aiming down sights has been increased to match other marksman weapons. The G7 Scout had a slight nerf where they increased the hipfire spread to be more in line with other marksman weapons. The longbow now has an increased headshot multiplier from 2.0 to 2.15, basically to make up for the fact that Skull Piercer has now been removed. Same change goes for the Wingman. The Wingman now has a headshot multiplier at 2.15 compared to 2.0. The Mozambique is going to have an increased magazine capacity from 4 to 6 and moved the lower two pellets inward in the blast pattern. So I want to read this dev note. It says this brings up the baseline power level, so only finding a Mozambique early in the match gives you more of a fighting chance and makes up for the removal of hammer points. P2020 is also getting a slight buff where they increased the bullet damage from 15 to 18 and lowered the fire rate from 8.5 to 6.25. There's also been a bunch of different quality of life updates, the first one being that badges are now sorted by categories and can be filtered by all or unlocked only. This suggestion came directly from players and they said, thank you, it is so much better. And looking at this picture, this does look so much more organized. Like my OCD is not acting up at all while looking at this image. It's very organized, so I'm definitely excited for that. They also said when looting death boxes, players can now see health bars for everyone on the team. Challenges can now be favorited by going into the challenge menu and right-clicking a challenge. That challenge will then be added to a new favorites tab that will appear in the lobby and in the match's map screen. There's also another big change here called flight path adjustments, where they said removing edge dropship flight paths to prevent matches where large portions of the map receive little to no traffic. These screenshots show a before and after comparison of possible flight paths on Kings Canyon. And then finally, we have some updates to the ring. So they said we're continuing work from the Fight Night update to improve match pacing towards the end of the game. We're slowing down the closing speed of the late game rings to allow you more time to fight and maneuver your way into the ring. We're also reducing the waiting time before ring 4 and 6 start to close. Now, next up, I want to go over with you guys a couple of key takeaways that I got from the Apex Legends engineer blog that went up yesterday. Now, I'm not going to go through all of this. This is a very in-depth blog post. I highly suggest you guys check it out if you are interested in learning more about how the servers work. I mainly want to go over what they mentioned at the end, which is what they plan on improving with the servers in the near future. So in their closing thoughts, they said, this is why throughout this blog, we've shared a number of improvements that we're pursuing in the near future, including using real-time alerting that will allow us to identify problems in the server and respond more quickly, implementing tools for identifying servers so we can remove and replace problematic servers rapidly, focusing more on slow-mo servers, reducing latency with better optimization of new features, and fixing hit rate bugs and building automated detection tools to help us avoid introducing new ones. They also added, but we want you to know that these aren't the only things we're doing. We're working with partners from the server level to the ISP level to improve and invest in our online infrastructure with the ultimate goal of seeing players report fewer issues and a better overall experience. Now, after this was posted to the Apex Legends website, some of the developers took to Reddit to host their own AMA regarding this blog post. One guy made a comment on this post saying, is there any news on what is happening with hackers being able to shut down servers for competitive Apex? What kind of consequences are these hackers facing? Ryan Rigney did respond to this, saying there's a number of issues at stake here. DDoS attacks are a thing, but so are non-distributed denial of service attacks, which I guess would just be called DOS. We've been working on closing a number of loopholes that allow people to do this, but closing loopholes isn't the only thing we're doing. Beyond that, some of the things we're talking about are improving tools for identifying those launching the attacks, working with some experienced partners in the space to develop more holistic solutions, and investigating more serious consequences beyond bans. We think legal action may be justifiable in some cases. So it looks like some of the really big cheaters and people who are just known for creating new accounts just to DDoS high-ranked games might be facing some severe legal consequences from Respawn. So this is definitely very interesting. I'm curious to see where this actually goes in the future. Now, we have another comment here regarding no-fill. This guy named CaseV7 said, the most common issue I see are no-fill of squad members. Is there any chance of having the game bail back to matchmaking if we end up without a full team? Ryan did respond to this saying, not server/netcode related, but the team's got some fixes for no-fill in the legacy update. Should help a lot. Unsure about that specific suggestion, but we'll bump it with the team this week. And then finally, the last comment that I wanted to show you guys was posted by someone named Neon Anderson. He basically asked whether Respawn was going to do anything about people whose ping is so high that they're basically teleporting across the map and are very hard to hit. This got a response from Rickle Saucer, who's the lead engineer for Respawn. He said player teleporting has definitely bad latency, but also certainly packet loss. When you have dramatic packet loss, it will mechanically also raise your latency over a threshold that the game cannot compensate. While I do believe it can be exploited to the high latency player advantage, I agree that it makes the game feel and look broken. We will look into it. Maybe our current solution is too defensive. Anyways, that basically concludes today's video. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. Be sure to let me know what you guys feel about all these Season 9 changes down in the comments below. We obviously have a ton of things coming, so hopefully you guys are as excited as I am. But again, thank you guys for watching. I will see you on the next one. Have a great day. Peace out.